In a previous lecture, as part of the Python standard library, I mentioned there is an OS module for interacting with the operating system. Part of the operating system is the file system of our computer. When we want to navigate the file system or inspect it, we'll be using that OS module. So let's import OS, and we can inspect what files are in the current directory by doing os.listdir, and this dot refers to the current directory. So in my current directory, I see all these IPython notebooks, as well as the data directory, the mini projects directory, and some hidden files that we didn't see if we just look at what's in this directory view. If we want to check what's in the data directory because we're trying to see what's available for reading or what we might want to avoid overwriting, we'll list what's in ./data, the current directory, subdirectory, data. And we see here some of the examples we've been dealing with already. If we want to not just see what's in an individual directory, but also its subdirectories, we'll want to perform what's called a recursive walk through our file system, starting at a particular directory and walking through all the subdirectories. So I mentioned here we won't cover walk in this course, but since it's quite useful, I'm actually going to do just a little bit of a live demo here, especially since this is the only topic I plan to cover in this video. So walk, if we look up the documentation, yields a 3-tuple, dir path, dir names, and file names. It's rooted at a particular directory and then walks down the tree, either top down or bottom up. By default, it's top down, because usually we want to start at a directory and go through all its subdirectories. So dir path is the path to the directory. Dir names is a list of the subdirectories in dir path. File names is a list of the names of the non-directory files in dir path. Usually, if we want to get a full list of files, what we'll do is say, for instance, for dir or directory file name in os.walk, and I'll root this at the data course directory. And I'll just print out all the files I encounter by joining together the directory and the file name. And this is in the path submodule of OS. And that did not work. File names. that also did not work. There we go. I guess my little tilde shortcut was not working. But we see here all the files in my data course directory and all subdirectories. So what happens is I start at the data course directory and I open up the first directory I see. Or actually, first I return all the file names of things that aren't directories in this directory. So I return these files, and then I enter the first directory I see, Python. I return all of these file names. So I get all of these files in the Python directory. And then I walk into the first directory I see, and I return all of these file names. And each time I'm doing this, I'm also returning the directory path. So for each step in my walk, I get a directory path and all the file names in that directory. So by iterating over the file names, I can join that to the directory path and get a full path to each file. I use this a lot when I'm dealing with data sets that might be spread out over several subdirectories in a data folder. So this is a brief video, but just a short illustration of how we can interact with the with the file system using the OS module. There's a lot more useful functions in the OS module. Its documentation page is quite long. It also has tools for retrieving or setting variables in the environment, navigating the file system. Let's see. Changing permissions on files. There's a function in here that I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but that I feel is pretty important. So I'm just like trying to find it by scrolling. We can also make directories. So all the kind of file system operations we might want to do in the normal course of interacting with a file system, whether through a graphical application or at the command line, we can also do almost any of that using the OS module from within Python. In the next video, we'll start talking about the kinds of files we'll usually be dealing with when reading or writing data, starting with CSV files.